Okay, welcome back. Let's put the spotlight on the consumer durables and EMS names as we begin this particular trading session. EMS of companies, of course, need no real uh, uh, introduction in that sense. That stocks like Dixon, there's been the clear cheerleader in that space, but everything else has done so well. And consumer durable stocks have also started to perform after a sort of strong summer season, especially AC companies, Voltas and the like. So what from here? That's the question. And we have analysts joining us from BNP Paribas. Niransh Jain is India analyst for these sectors at BNP. Niransh, great to have you with us here. Thank you for your time. Prashant this side. And you guys have initiated coverage on these two spaces recently. I want to just start with the EMS space. As your note itself says, in your interaction with investors when you were sort of pitching these ideas, people like names like Dixon. No problem. We had Dixon management with us. We had a pretty extensive interview a few days ago. But the challenge is to find an attractive, reasonable entry point. So how do you solve for that problem, Niransh?
Yeah, hi Prashant. Thank you for having me on the show. So, see, I agree. I mean, these stocks have seen a sharp rally, been up like 30-40% over the past 1 month itself. So, from here, I mean, we believe that while valuations do remain a concern, that is for the that is for the sector as well as for the broader markets. I believe that the way to look at is whether the earnings growth momentum continues. And what we believe is that based on the order books that these companies have, the recent announcements, acquisitions, tie-ups, as well as the strong order books from the existing customers, it gives us confidence of the strong earnings growth at least for next 2 to 3 years. And while valuations do remain a concern and the near-term consolidation cannot be ruled out, I believe that the valuations might likely sustain if these growth momentum continues.
So talking specifically, Niransh, about stocks, right? Dixon Tech has really been the star of the pack here, but it's what, a 50% gain in 1 month on Dixon Tech. Now, are you trying to say that despite really steep valuations, there is a lot of juice left in stocks like this? Because it seems like we are in the mature stage of a rally here. But your thoughts?
Right. So as I mentioned, Sonia, I mean, there's no doubt that these stocks has seen a significant rally, and it really concerns investors as well. But I would like to repeat that there is a strong earnings momentum that is expected on the back of it. I mean, looking at just from the mobile segment, the company has really strengthened its position by having large customer wins, and then recent acquisitions with iSmart2 as well as the strong order books from the existing customers. And then the company is also likely to be a beneficiary from the other PLI schemes for IT hardware and telecom. So momentum clearly looks in its favor right now. And I completely agree that after such a sharp rally, we don't know how much juice is still left, and the near-term consolidation cannot be ruled out. But we will have to watch out for the growth momentum and the expectations. Like if it continues, I think the valuations are likely to sustain.
All right. Hi, Niransh. Good morning. So Dixon, that's the big stock, and that's what everyone has its eye on. But, a couple of other smaller names like a Keynes or maybe a PG Electroplast that we get the management, on the channel, and they give out guidance, and they've been going ahead and achieving that. Part of the street believes that both these two could be ripe for a re-rating. What's your take? Dixon is top of the pack, but what about a couple of these other names? Could they be in for a bit of a re-rating?
Yeah, hi Nigel, good morning. So I believe even for the other companies, like as you mentioned, specifically like Keynes, I think the near-term growth momentum is strong for these stocks as well. Especially if I talk about Keynes, the core EMS business, there's a strong momentum that is expected from across all its divisions. The management has already guided for a strong growth expectations, and I believe that even in the near term, if these expectations are continued to be met by the companies, I think these stocks can definitely re-rate from here.
On Keynes, you have a slightly sort of cautious view?
Right, right. So, Prashant, my view has been slightly cautious as compared to the other names like Dixon, and that is primarily from a medium term perspective. Like as the company has announced its foray into a newer ventures of OSAT. So, our cautious view is more to do with these new ventures because we see a risk on the execution front, as these are also dependent on the government subsidies, the timely approvals from them, as well as the company has to still acquire a large customer in this space. So, I think the risk is more from a medium-term perspective, also on the margin front, as the company gets into a very high investment phase. So, in the near term, I think the momentum in its core EMS business still looks strong.
Okay. And finally, I mean, last question from my end, one of the darlings of the market, Polycab. How are you feeling about that one? Of course, the promoters recently sold 2% stake as well, a little bit of concerns over there. But largely in a thriving market, good business, do you see a lot more upside, or are valuations a concern here?
See, I believe that for a company like Polycab, valuations do remain a concern, especially for the whole cables and wires space. But one thing that has really worked in its favor is the rising commodity prices. Like contrary to the general belief, I mean, these are the companies which are direct beneficiary of the rise in copper, aluminium, and the rally that we have seen in the first quarter, I think that is likely to benefit all these companies, as well as like the overall capex theme. Especially on the power capex as well as on the renewable energy. I think these companies are beneficiary of that as well. So I think from the growth perspective, the certainty is higher on these stocks. But I agree to on the point of valuations that these stocks had seen a sharp run up in last 2 years, and from here I think the maintaining the growth will remain the key.
Final question, Niransh, before we let you go, the toss-up between Voltas as well as Whirlpool. In the last 1 year, we have seen people losing hope on Voltas. They had a problem with the quality, with the margins, with the market share. Well, all of that has turned. In the last 1 year, I think the stock is up close to around 80%. What's the preference between the two?
So, Nigel, our preference is more towards Voltas being a market leader in the RAC space. Also, I'd like to highlight that this is one category which has consistently delivered mid-teens kind of a volume growth over the last decade. So there is a huge industry tailwind that is there, which is working in the favor of Voltas, and I think that is reflected in the stock as well. I mean, there had been some concerns in the past regarding the margin pressure, the rising competitive intensity, but I think just the strong volume growth has been able to re-rate this stock, and we continue to prefer the stock purely from a structural perspective in terms of the AC industry potential, as well as how the company is doing in the other white goods space through its JV Voltas Beko.
Okay. Anything that you want to leave us with, anything that we missed out on, where you think there could be big potential despite the kind of valuation concerns that you're seeing?
Right. So I believe that what we have seen in the manufacturing theme so far is that the government has been really successful in shifting the low value add manufacturing to India. And this has primarily been achieved through increasing the custom duties on imported finished goods, as well as rolling out the subsequent PLI schemes. So I think going ahead, once the company achieves scale, the natural progression in the EMS space is to get deeper into the value chain, get more into the components. So I think this will be an interesting space to watch out for, to like how the government comes up with new things, how the companies get more and more into the components manufacturing. So I think this will be a space to watch out for.
All right. We'll leave it there. Niransh, great to have you with us here. Appreciate you joining in with a lot of that perspective. Really appreciate it. So that is the analyst from BNP with perspective on EMS companies, but also what he makes of consumer durables and what he likes in that space.